Good afternoon. I now call back to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting of September 28, 2021. Reminder to everyone present, please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. So now as we proceed with public hearings agenda, starting with ordinances, P69.
Item P69 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 21st, 2021.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Denise Hernandez. Item P69 is PDD 210328. It is an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use maps 2-15 and sheet 22, changing from Res 3, residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre, and ROR, retail office residential, to planned development on approximately 303 acres of real property located on Meadow Point Boulevard at the intersections of State Road 54, State Road 56, and Beardsley Drive, and a text amendment creating sub-area policy, FLU 7.1.56, Wesley Chapel Lakes, and a map amendment to the future land use map 2-9, adding sub-area map 2-9, parens 56, Wesley Chapel Lakes, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date. And I read that all to you because this item was set for transmittal today. And it's actually a continuance to the 1026 BCC at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
Richey, that date said he would.
It is in Newport Richey.
Okay.
1026 BCC 130 Newport Richey.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to continue
Mr. Chairman, if,
public hearing.
let me ask Denise a question, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're talking about 69. You said
P69, this was the
you said
adoption.
transmittal.
Adoption, I apologize. It's actually the adoption is today. I apologize. I stand corrected. Thank you,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. County Attorney. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. To be continued. 5-0. Okay. P70.
Item P70 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on April 28th, 2021.
Commissioners, Denise Hernandez. Item P70 is PDD 210354, and today is the adoption on this item. So we're asking for you to take public comment, adopt proposed ordinance by roll call vote. I will read the item into record. It's an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 600, Overlay and Special District Areas, Section 602.8T, VOPH Development and Administrative Review Fees, and map change to Exhibit 602-E, VOPH Master Roadway Plan, Exhibit A, Tyndall Road, East-West Street, a right-of-way alignment, and other amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for applicability, repealer, severability, inclusion into the Land Development Code, and an effective date. This came to you for first reading on the 24th of August, and it went to the LPA on June 24th, where they found it consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay. We have applicant or anyone to speak to this item? Public comment?
Mr. Chair, there is no one.
Yeah, but if no one's coming up to speak to it, I would move
No
approval.
one on it.
So no one is in person and no one on WebEx for this item.
And do you wish to hear any more from the applicant?
Nope.
Okay. So,
Just make,
hold it.
there's nobody in the chambers that didn't sign up that wants to speak to this item, correct?
Move
See
approval.
anybody?
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Roll call,
Roll
roll call vote.
Excuse me, roll call vote. I didn't see
District
that.
2, Commissioner
Aye.
Moore. District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick. Aye. District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Aye. Motion passed 5-0.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think the next three are going to be roll calls, 71, 72, 73.
Okay. I don't see it anymore. Okay. P72,
Do you want to do P71?
or P71, excuse me.
Item P71 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
P71 is PDD 210554. This is the first reading on this item. It is scheduled for adoption on October 12th, 2021. I'm going to read the ordinance title and explain to you why we're here on this item. This is an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 500 zoning, Section 503, AC Agricultural District, Section 504, AC1 Agricultural District, Section 505, AR Agricultural Residential District, Section 506, AR1 Agricultural Residential District, Section 507, AR5 Agricultural Residential District, Section 508, AR5MH Agricultural Residential Mobile Home District, Section 527, C3 Commercial Light Manufacturing District, Section 528, I1 Light Industrial Park District, Section 529, I2 General Industrial Park District, Section 905.2 Landscaping and Buffering, Appendix A definitions and other sections as necessary for internal consistency, providing for applicability, repealer, providing for severability, inclusion into Land Development Code and effective date. So before you, this particular ordinance is brought to you to comply with the 2021 legislative changes, internal consistency, and BCC policy. So there were, so basically the 2021 legislative session resulted in Chapter 2021-178 Laws of Florida, creating Section 163.3205 Florida statutes. It provides limitations and preemptions on local government regulations of solar facilities. Specifically, it states that a solar facility shall be permitted use in all agricultural land use class categories in a local government's comprehensive plan, in all agricultural zoning districts within an unincorporated area, and must comply with the setback and landscape buffer criteria for other similar uses in the agricultural district. So generally, this ordinance, before you rename solar electric power collection facility, which is what we called it before, to solar farm, and solar farm to solar facility, which is consistent with the legislation. It also adds solar facility as a permitted principal use in all agricultural zoning designations. It removes solar facility as a special exception use in all agricultural zoning designations. Now it's actually a principal permitted use. It adds solar facility as a special exception use in C3, commercial light manufacturing, I1, light industrial park district, and I2, general industrial park districts. It removes it as a permitted use in those districts, and it adds landscaping and buffering for similar uses such as electrical substations, distribution electrical substations, and solar facilities. It defines solar facility consistent with the definition in Florida statute, and it adds solar facility to the definition of minor public, semi-public facility. Again, today, we're just asking that you accept public comment. There is no action required today. This was presented to the horizontal roundtable and the interested parties meeting on August 18 of 21. We didn't receive any comments from them, and it was presented to the local planning agency on September 9th, 21, and it was found consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners.
There's no action required today, but is there anyone signed up to speak to this item?
No one is signed up in person and no one on WebEx.
Okay. Is there anyone in the room wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one, move on to P72.
Item P72 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on July 18th, 2021.
Item P72 is an actual adoption, so we're asking that you adopt it by roll call vote. I'll read the ordinance title into record. PDD 210499, this is an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Section 1302.2, mobility fees, to increase the mobility fees for various uses, to decrease the mobility fees for certain locally owned small businesses, to amend the mobility fee regulations to be consistent with Chapter 2021-63 Laws of Florida, and other amendments as necessary to ensure internal consistency, providing for applicability, repealer, severability, inclusion in the Pasco County Land Development Code, and effective date. This went to the horizontal roundtable interested parties meeting on July 21st. It went to the local planning agency, who found it consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners on July 22nd. And it was introduced at first reading on 9/15/21 to the Board of County Commissioners. Again, today is the adoption, so we ask that you adopt the ordinance by roll call vote.
Okay. Is anyone here in the audience? Is anyone signed up?
No one signed up in person and no one on WebEx.
Okay. Anyone in the room wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one? Pleasure of the board.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second by roll call vote.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick. Aye. District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Aye. Motion passed 5-0. P73,
Item P73 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 15th, 2021.
Justin Grant, Director, Public Infrastructure, Fiscal and Business Administration. Item P73 is UT 210618, an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 1300, Capital Facilities, Fees and Incentives related to fees, Section 1302.8, Water and Wastewater Service Impact Fees, amending the name of fees and providing for change fee amounts by resolution, Appendix A definitions, providing for applicability, repealer, severability, and inclusion into the Land Development Code and an effective date. The measure for this item is Public Infrastructure is looking to make an administrative change to move the fee schedule for water and wastewater impact fees over from the Land Development Code into the ordinance and change the title of that from impact fee to connection fees. Pasco County Code of Ordinances, Section 11039, provides the board with the authority to do that, modify impact fees by ordinance or resolution. Water and wastewater impact fees will be renamed into connection fees, and they were adopted by resolution per 110 in the Chapter 110 process back in 2012 into the Land Development Code. And connection fee is a one-time charge paid by a new customer to reserve capacity in the water and wastewater system. All right. Here's a listing of the items that have already gone through in terms of presenting this item to a horizontal roundtable back in July, ordinance development team in August, and the local planning agency in late August. And then on August 26th, the Planning Commission at the LPA recommended the approval of the amendment and changing the term impact fee to connection fee and the removal of the schedule connection fees from the LDC. Last time these were modified was 2006. We have engaged, as we did back in August, right, and presented water and wastewater utility fees. We engaged that same consultant to take a hard look at these as well, and we provided a cost recovery analysis as well as a phased-in approach over the next 4 years. And the next table outlines what that approach looks like. And so roughly, that will look at a $500 increase for water and wastewater connection fees, or $475 when including reclaim. The recommendation here from the board is only on this item to accept public comment for the proposal to modify the term water and wastewater impact fee to water and wastewater connection fee and adopt the wastewater connection fees, frequently known or formerly known as impact fees, via resolution per chapter code ordinance 110.
Okay. Is anyone signed up to speak to this item?
No one signed up in person and no one on WebEx.
Okay. Is anyone in the room wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one, there's no action required. All right?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I could make a comment. In having the meeting, and I understand what we're doing, I like what we're doing, we want growth to pay for itself. On the west side, and it could even be certain parts on the east side, if there's like affordable housing projects coming in, we're kind of like, I want to make sure we're able to look at that. It could even be the good business coming in that might look at this and be impactful. So as we go down the road, not looking to change anything now, but I just want everyone to keep in mind, as we talked about it, through CDBG or other incentives to try to help with someone coming in with a desirable construction, I want to make sure that we can actually take a look at that and just be aware we have that availability to us.
Is that written in here?
Well,
No, but it's,
Fastener.
so these are utility connection fees / what formerly known as impact fees.
Yes, sir.
So you would have to find revenue replacement because of your bond covenants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right, let's move on to 74, now it's time for procedures. Mr. Steinsteiner?
There are two rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval and there's no opposition, the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or planning commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or planning commission recommendation or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is that mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria found within the board's land development code.
All right, P-74.
Want to swear in?
Yeah.
Do you want to swear in anyone who wants to speak?
Oh, yeah, just swear people in, yeah.
So if you're here to speak on any of the remaining items, if you could please stand to be sworn in. Please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay,
So
P-74.
item P-74 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
Denise Hernandez, Planning and Development. Item P-74 is PDD 21 CU 24 in the name of K&M Pasco 130 Holdings LLC. This item is a request to continue the item to the October 26th, 2021 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey, and it was advertised as a continuance.
Move to continue, time certain?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. P-75.
Item P-75 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
Item P-75 is PDD 21 CU 42 Focus Forward Solutions LLC Fields Farm, and this item was also advertised as a continuance. The request is to continue the item to the November 9th, 2021 BCC meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue, time certain?
Second.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. P-76.
Item P-76 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 18th, 2021.
P-76 is PDD 210552 CPAL 21 parens 21 Future Land Use Element and Transportation Element Update for related to airport zoning and land use compatibility. This item was advertised as a continuance. The continuance is to the October 26, 2021 BCC meeting at 1:30 in Newport Richey.
Move to continue, time certain?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. P-77.
Item P-77 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on September 5th, 2021.
P-77 is UTSW 210643. It's a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, setting the commercial solid waste collection rate beginning October 21st, 2021. This item was advertised as a continuance. The request is to continue the item to the October 12th, 2021 BCC meeting at 10 a.m., in Dade City.
Move to continue, time certain?
Second.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0. P-78.
Item P-78 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on June 30th, 2021.
Item P-78 is PDD 217530. It's a zoning amendment, Wesley Chapel Lakes MPUD Master Plan Unit Development, Clearwater Bay Associates, Inc., for a substantial modification request to propose entitlements for vacant parcels within the MPUD. This item was advertised as a approval with conditions, but actually the request is to continue to 10/26/21, 1:30 p.m. Board of County Commissioners meeting in Newport Richey, and we did submit a revised agenda memo on that.
Okay.
Move to continue, time certain?
Second.
It's still a public hearing.
Do we have
Item
Is anyone signed up to speak to this item?
No one has signed up in person and no one on WebEx.
Okay, does anyone in the room wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one?
Move to continue, time certain?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. P79.
Item P79 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
P79 is PDD 217556, is a zoning amendment in the name of Eddie Perez, 6940 Main Street, for a change in zoning from an R2 low-density residential district to a C2 general commercial district. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval as approval from the Planning Commission and the Planning and Development Department.
Is anyone here signed up to speak or on WebEx?
No, sir, neither.
Okay, does anyone in the room wish to speak against this item? Seeing no one, it remains on consent. P80.
Item P80 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
P80 is PDD 217558, it's a zoning amendment, 6016 Delaware Avenue Land Trust, 11836 Little Road, for a change in zoning from an R1MH single-family mobile home district to a C2 general commercial district. Comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Anyone signed up to speak to this item?
No, sir, no one signed up in person and no one on WebEx.
Okay, does anyone in the room wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one, it remains on consent. P81.
Item P81 was published in Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
Item P81 is PW 210089. Mr. Chair, I will be reading this item into record, but I believe that there are some folks that are signed up to speak on this item. It's Trinity Oaks Subdivision in Thousand Oaks Phase 1, PVAS number 3436, and it's the approval of a PVAS for $2,426,305.
Okay, let's, since we have people speaking that, we'll pull that off? Yes. And we'll move on to P82.
Item P82 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
P82 is PW 210092, McDonald Lane Paving Assessment number 3447, and it's in the amount of $59,085, and we're requesting that you approve this item.
Is anyone signed up to speak to this item?
Not for item P82 in person. No one has signed up, and also no one on WebEx.
Okay, is anyone in the room to speak, wish to speak to P82? P82?
Okay.
Off consent.
Voted off consent, and then I'll entertain a motion for the other consent items.
Move approve remainder of the consent?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0.
Liam Devine, Planning and Development. This is for item P83. There has been ex parte
Wait a
communication.
second.
No, we're not on P83.
We're going back to
We're still
P81 at this
voting.
point.
Just a minute. All right, let's move back to P81.
Is the Caldwell Public Works. This is PW 210089. Next, please.
That's it.
Thank you. Trinity Oak Subdivision in Thousand Oak, Phase 1, PVAS number 3436. There are 28 streets in this project. They are county maintained and paved. The total estimated project cost is just over $2.4 million. Maximum cost per ERU is $5,297.84. The discounted amount is just under $492,000, and the maximum cost per ERU after the discount is $4,223.38. In terms of the votes, there were 459 possible votes. 319, or 69%, responded to the petition. Of that, 189, or 59%, voted in favor of the project. 130, or 41%, voted against the project. The repayment is over a 10-year period, and the interest rate is at 3.25% interest. This is a location map of both Trinity Oaks and Thousand Oaks Phase 1. And this is a typical photo of the streets that are represented in this project.
Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
We have a list signed up to speak to this item.
We do. We have a few people signed up to speak on this item. some had pre-registered, but they are not online, so we don't have anyone on WebEx for this item, and it looks like one person has appeared in person now.
Okay.
So I have 4 individuals who have signed up to speak to this item. The first person is John Hanoski, followed by Vicky Hanoski.
Okay, come forward. Name and address, plus if you've been sworn.
They don't have to be sworn for the.
Oh, we don't have to,
for the pass
okay.
items.
Okay, all right.
My name is John Hanoski, 8111 Meadowview Place, Trinity, Florida, 34655. Before I begin, I'd like to ask the board to receive and file the attachment I sent.
Motion to receive.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
May I begin? Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board today. My name is John Hanoski. I'm a resident of the Trinity Oaks subdivision. I'm here today to voice my objection to our road paving assessment the board is scheduled to vote on today. My objection is to the maximum assessment per property owner that the county has arrived at. I, as well as many of the people in my community, feel the county should pick up 100% of the cost of some of our roads or sections of roads to be repaved. There's a well-documented history of flooding and drainage issues in our area that has undoubtedly contributed to the poor conditions our roads are in. My family and I have lived in Trinity Oaks since 2000. Prior to purchasing my home, my brother-in-law and I went to inspect the house and property. We were both impressed at how well the roads drained because that day there was a torrential downpour. There was no flooding or pooling of water on the roads that we observed. After moving into my home in August 2000, my wife and I observed no flooding issues in our community, even after the most severe torrential rains for the first few years. Fast forward to 2001, 2002. Thousand Oaks development to the east of Trinity Oaks, 2002 and 2003. Flooding in the area from El Nino storms that led to a 2005 Duck Slough watershed study. 2012, Tropical Storm Debbie caused flooding and with it additional deterioration of our roads. 2015, rainfall occurred over areas that were already saturated, creating more flooding of our roads. So our community has a well-established history of flooding that began after more homes were developed to the east of us. I've submitted supporting documents which show that homeowners from both Trinity Oaks and Thousand Oaks voiced their complaints about flooding and drainage issues to this board back as early as 2003. This continued in the subsequent years, including at various task force meetings to discuss the drainage and flooding issues in our area. And while some improvements have been implemented in order to help mitigate the situation, we still experience drainage problems in several areas which continue to exacerbate the deterioration of our roads. While we appreciate the county contributing towards our PVAS, the fact is the county does this for any assessment, which the roads have been rated as being in poor or failing condition. So the real issue is what led to these conditions. When you review the history of development in the area, it is well known that the county reduced pumping from the Eldridge Wild Well Field, which has led to the water table in the area rising. Unfortunately, the county approved the development of Thousand Oaks, even though the plans for that development use outdated water table data, leading to drainage and flooding issues in our area that we had not experienced before. For the past 2.5 years, I have worked diligently along with Jackie Beret in asking the county numerous questions about the PVAS process, as well as what financial relief our community can receive based on our historic drainage and flooding issues. I sent an email to Commissioner Starkey's office on March 31st of this year that included some questions and concerns about our road paving assessment, as well as offering some potential solutions to the drainage issues we still experience. And the answers I received to date, received in an email dated August 20th, 2021 from Derek Berger, I was told that a consultant the county hired to secure a swift mud permit for an existing temporary flood control pumps also looked into how to best maximize flood abatement in our area. The consultant recommended a plan that reduced flooding from about 18 inches in some areas to about 5 inches for a 10-year storm. I had requested a copy of that consultant's report, and after a month, I received it this past Friday evening. I was disappointed to see that this report was issued in March 2021 and revised in July 2021, and yet on August 20th, I was informed that the consultant was still finalizing the report. I did, however, receive an answer to my question: when would this work begin, if approved, and the time frame? And was informed that the benefit-cost analysis shows that the project is not cost-effective, and that SwiftMud will not cooperatively fund a project with such a low cost-benefit ratio of 0.21. Also, the Federal Emergency Agency's Hazard Mitigation Grant Program will also not fund such a program for the same reason. So to the best of my knowledge, it appears that no work to help mitigate stormwater flooding in our area is planned at the current time, as I have confirmed with the county as well as through Congressman Bill Rackus' office. It sounds like my community's drainage and flooding concerns are once again being neglected, which is unfortunate, but something I will continue to advocate for. So now I ask the board, why should the property owners being assessed for this project have to pay for roads that were damaged due to negligence by the county in approving the development of Thousand Oaks, even though the plans for that development used outdated water table data? Negligence by the county in not properly maintaining our stormwater drainage system, leading to vegetation overgrowth that interfere with stormwater runoff. Negligence by the county in its failure to respond to the drainage and flooding concerns of the citizens who are affected by this assessment. As from what we know today, no mitigation efforts in our area have been planned. Based on the evidence submitted, I respectfully request that the county go back and reduce our overall assessment and recalculate the maximum assessment per property owner based on the county paying 100% for the repaving of these sections of roads that have been most impacted by our historical flooding and drainage issues. Trinity Oaks Boulevard by the north entrance by the school, Trinity Oaks Elementary. Kinsmere Drive southeast from Trinity Oaks Boulevard to Jutland Drive. Kinsmere Drive southwest from Trinity Oaks Boulevard to Tantalon Road, past the weir in that area. Prestwick Place, Jutland Drive. Arlenbrook Drive west-northwest from Trinity Oaks Boulevard, which is the south entrance off of Trinity Boulevard, to Mara Vista Drive. Trinity Oaks Boulevard, the south entrance off of Trinity Boulevard from the Pasco County line to Arlenbrook. I'm almost done.
No, you had an extra 2 minutes, actually.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
Thank you very
just-
much.
this is just my
No,
summation.
thank you very much. And maybe your
I
wife
just wanted
could-
to thank the
She
board.
might be able to finish. for
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Just,
Be sure and start the clock. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm Vicki Hanoski, 8111 Meadowview Place, Trinity, Florida. I also request that the board review the information Jackie Murray and I have both formally submitted and respectively request that the board approve that is part of the public record on our PVAS hearing today. Thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have for me.
thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, yep, thank you.
I have 2 more people signed up, Jackie Boree and Linda Appleby. If Miss Appleby could just line up out in back of. Miss Boree, thank you.
Hello. I'm a little older. I have to put my readers on.
I need them, I just don't have them with me today.
I know. I'm Jackie Boree, Trinity Oaks president, 8115 Montauk Court, Trinity, Florida. I have also emailed a copy of what I wanted to say, so I asked that it be received and put in the record.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Before her time
Motion
starts,
passed.
I'm sorry, before her time starts, the gentleman, Mr. Hanoski, as well as Ms. Boree, we just need to get a copy of the items that were submitted.
They passed it on.
Okay.
And I do have copies of mine. I think he put the copies in for yours, and then I have copies of mine, one for everyone.
Okay.
I'll try to be brief. I'm not a public speaker. So my name is Jackie Boree. Obviously, I live at Trinity Oaks. I've been there for 14 years. 4 years of that time, I was a substitute teacher for my mother of twins at Trinity Oaks Elementary, so I'm very familiar with that area. This is my 3rd year serving on Trinity Oaks as the HOA board president this year. I've always been active in the community, keeping abreast with issues that face not only Trinity Oaks, but Pasco County. So I try to come up with solutions, excuse me, as opposed to problems. And I want to begin with the unfortunately deplorable road conditions due to stormwater flood damage, storm drain failure, traffic problems, and age. We're here because John Hanoski and I have been working very aggressively to come up with a solution. We want to thank Mr. Caldwell for all of his work. We have definitely tired him out over the last 2 years. There's just a few items that I want to bring before the board for consideration prior to approving the project. As you're all aware, as John stated, we've experienced a lot of flooding over the last decade. I believe it's due to poor design and a poorly maintained duck slough watershed while improving surrounding areas. Improper development of adjoining neighborhoods based on outdated flood projections, nothing we can do about that. poor maintenance of storm drain and retention ponds. SwiftMed's done a great job in our community working on that basin. We've seen a lot of results from it, so we're very appreciative of that. However, I believe it's kind of the failure of Pasco County's maintenance of the storm drains that causes some of this extra issues. So I would request, am I done?
No, 1 minute.
I would request that we have a copy of the maintenance program that is in place for those storm drains. I just want it on the record that Mr. Caldwell stated that there will be an extra polymer added to the Trinity Oaks Boulevard section due to the heavy traffic volume, and I'd like that put in writing. I would also, I'm trying to kind of skip through this because I know you guys have it. I would also let it be known that, as he mentioned, the roads that are in the front of the neighborhood, those have definitely been exacerbated by the stormwater. So if we could, in some way, I'm not asking for a 100% reduction, obviously, but I understand there is a stormwater percentage rate for roads that are damaged by stormwater. If I'm not right, you can please correct that. And so I would ask that, I think it's 1.75.
Your time's up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, though.
I'll need a copy of the document that you wanted received and filed.
Give me a motion.
You can give it right there.
Give me a motion. You have a motion? 'Cause
We already did it.
on that one?
Yes, right at the
We
beginning.
did on the other one.
Remember, I interrupted.
All right.
Hi. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name's Linda Appleby. I live at 8105 Montauk Court, Trinity. And I am on the board also, and I handle any of the community issues such as potholes, electrical, and everything like that. I will kind of go through some of the things that Jackie had left, and then I will broach the subject of potholes. At the September the 9th meeting, BOCC hearing, Mr. Caldwell noted on record that the additional substance of the polymer, Jackie did mention that, it is our contention that the community assessment be reduced, and yes, she covered that as well. I think both Jackie and John have covered the majority of the issues at the problems at the moment. But one of the things that I want to mention is about the school buses and the damage that's being done to the roads. Obviously, we have the school buses. We have no choice about that for the young children. No problem. But I handle the pothole reports. And I'm forever calling up and saying, please come and fix them. And they say, well, give me an address. I said, how many would you like? Because there's so many. And it's taken 2, 3, 4 weeks to get these done. I followed up this week because I had 2 requests out there, and they actually did them today. So I was happy about that. But as soon as they do those, as we get a rainfall, we're back to square one again. We will soon have a big one, particularly where the school buses come through. I mean, there was this massive hole plus several little ones, potholes, and they were just about to join together to make one big one. It is unsafe for the children. It is unsafe for our vehicles, anybody driving along there. Both entrances, Arlenbrook and Kinsmere. It is a nightmare. We do need these roads done as soon as possible at an affordable price for our residents. I thank you for the time you've given me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Caldwell?
Well, let me say a few things, but come on up. Come on up. So when just for the new commissioners.
Wait a minute.
So those were all the names that were on the list?
Those were the names that are on the list that signed up, and I have no one on WebEx for
Let's
this.
make
Is
sure
anyone-
that there's nobody who's
Is anyone
not
left
signed.
in the audience that wish to speak to this item that did not sign up? Seeing no one?
I just want to give some of the new commissioners a little history and yeah, so, well, this started.
You took me out there.
Yeah, and this kind of started before I was commissioner, but this Ann Hildebrand started putting the big Trinity Oaks flood task together. Jack, you were there. We used to meet, I don't know, once a month or something with Senator Rubio's office, and I think it was the other senator, I don't remember his name now, that retired. No, it was a Democrat. I'm trying to think his name. Bill Nelson's. Anyway, we had Bill Arax's office. This was before your time, Mr. Carbala, and before your time, Mr. Biles, but just to try and solve the problems, the flooding problems of this community. And this community was built when we had overpumping going on in Pasco County, and our water table was 15 inches lower than it is today. And the developer was able to get an agreement from SwiftMud, who permits the flooding and the water plans, to agree that that water table was the new normal. So that's what exacerbated the flooding in this community. And then, sorry, but the HOAs never maintained their stormwater systems. And trees were actually growing up in some of their stormwater systems. And that, frankly, is not the county's responsibility. In an HOA, it's the HOA's responsibility to maintain their storm systems. I actually had to put together a meeting with SwiftMud last year, and I didn't have, sadly, no one from that community could make it to the meeting, so we could help educate them on the responsibilities of permitted stormwater systems within a community. The county went in and spent millions of dollars, which we haven't really done in other neighborhoods, but we went in and spent millions of dollars. We got an Army Corps special permit to clean out their ditch. And I'm hoping that, and I think I had asked, and I'm not sure if I've heard back, if we took over maintenance of BMP5. So I'd like to know if we did or not, and are we maintaining that? Because when I drove by there, it looked full again. So that's a question. But the roads need to be fixed. I drove into the biggest pothole of my life 3 years ago, I think, 4 years ago, in a big storm. I couldn't believe how big that hole was. It was underwater, so I never saw it. And I drive an SUV, and it was really bad. So I think this PVAS did pass with the majority.
Yes.
I know it seems unfair that public partners don't pay for the road, like the school district doesn't pay for roads, pretty sure, right?
That's correct.
The most unfair one I ever saw was when the branch owned by Pinellas County, what is it called? Crossbar, the road on the southern boundary of Crossbar was falling apart from all the commercial trucks coming in and out of the land owned by Pinellas County, and all the houses on the south side had to pay for the road. And they're big lots, so they had big bills, and we couldn't get Pinellas County to pay anything. So that's unfortunately part of the system we have. But this is a PVAS that needs to go through, and you're going to do full depth reclamation, so there's not going to be potholes in this road again, because a pothole only lasts till the next big storm, and then it pops out. Let's see what else. Yeah, can we see the vote? How the votes came in?
Go ahead. Oops.
There it is.
Yeah, so, it was, yeah, well over 50, so,
9%.
yeah, so I would recommend approval of the PVAS.
I'm going to second, but I want more discussion.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's,
Mr. Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Commissioner Starkey, I think you summed up a lot of great points that were there. I mean, back in 2004, when this thing was getting started, I was there with Commissioner Hildebrand as we were looking it over, because at 2004, we had all those hurricanes and it was going on, so
Yeah.
I was directly involved. And I want to say, I appreciate your leadership, your involvement every step of the way, because as you got more into it, I kind of stepped back and let you as district commissioner kind of run with it, and I think you've done a great job, especially with that BMP5, which, when that was lower down, had a great effect.
Yeah. And increasing the
Work-
one behind the
Yep,
CVS.
and I know you work with SwiftMud. I didn't know this because of Sunshine stuff, but found out later that as you were working with SwiftMud to get the timing in there. Now, I will say maybe that could get looked at to improve that stormwater better, but I want you to think about something for right down the road. Look at Oak Ridge right down the street.
Yeah.
Oak Ridge has got the drains all through that neighborhood, all the way through, and they're after Thousand Oaks.
And it never
They
floods
don't-
in there.
They don't flood. Now, I will say, after them, there was that other development, the Reserve.
Yeah.
And they had like a really constrained thing that went through.
Yep, and they won't
SwiftMud
let
went in
us
there,
in
they
there.
opened that thing right up. We did some improvements there, and all the way through. So, I mean, as far as like, we've done all the improvements we can do. I'll tell you where we get stuck, and I won't even blame the developer for this. But when you have giant sugar maples that are growing up, between the displacement of that, the leaves, the vegetation coming in there, that stuff has to get cleaned out. Now, I will say, there's other improvements that can be done that Lou Freed Linen Company, Dan Waymar, talked about that were right on the money. There's a trench that was designed to go all the way through Thousand Oaks, all the way out to the CVS and go through. But it's the Army Corps, I don't know if it's Swift Mud so much, but I think the Army Corps stops us from going through that drainage. Now, I will tell you, I just came back from Switzerland. My brother and I, we kind of drove through the farmlands, we drove through a lot of wetlands, farms, et cetera. Right through wetlands, there's trenches that go through right into Lake Geneva. They take their stormwater, channeled to go through, into the water, into the waterways, and it goes out into the Lake Geneva, and they don't flood. I'm going to tell you, I would love to work as hard as we can in the future. Now that I've seen this internationally done, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to have that trench running all the way through to get that water flow out. When you look past BMP 5, we used to have pumps that would go in there. It would take them 12 hours to set a pump up, 15 guys to go set the thing up. And when they just lowered the weir down and now they get the water flowing, it works so much better, so much easier. That's what we need to go do to solve that. Now, with all that said, I'm going to say, I'm delighted to see it's FDR. It's what you needed out there. There's no reason to wait as we fight this battle, and I know Commissioner Stark is going to keep on fighting, and I'll keep on fighting, and the whole board supports you to get this thing fixed. And I think now that we have more information, maybe we can change what the federal government's stopping us from doing to let you guys have a quality of life. So the FDR was delighted to see that. That's going to make the road better, stronger, so you can actually live your life, and kids can ride their bikes in the street instead of worried about what's going on. So as much as everything that's going on there, I will tell you the commission, I mean, this is a great Board of County Commissioners that's worked very hard on stormwater issues, funding, doing whatever we can every step of the way. But this is a necessary project to get done, and we're still not done, but I think it's a great necessary thing to make the next door.
Yeah, and I want to bring two things up still. And they finally finished that PACE study that, we had the Army Corps engineer come in, and I flew in the helicopter with them and showed him, from the headwaters of the Anclote, tracing the water all the way through Thousand Oaks and all the way out. We were very hopeful that they would come in and do that project with us and Swift Mud. But frankly, here's one of the issues is that there are, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 houses in a really, really bad storm event in there that get water in the house. And in Florida, and most of the country, streets are actually used to store water in a very, 100-year storm event? I think the streets are designed for, maybe you can help me, Mr. Engineer, but the country uses streets as water storage in a high water event. If we had to elevate all the streets to a really high level, then you'd have to elevate all the houses around it, and you wouldn't be able to afford, none of us could afford to live in anything. So that's just the way development is in the United States. And so the Army Corps passed on our PACE project, which was to hold back the Anclote River in a high water event. Then Swift Mud took a swing at it with them and us doing it, and they also said that the return on investment is just not there. It's better to buy out the houses that flood repeatedly. And there's money available from the state to do that, and I thought we were working with one of the houses on Wavy Edge, but I don't think anyone's here that was working on that. I think it fell through, and that house just keeps selling. I just looked it up, and it just sells every few years. It sells. But we would be happy to talk to anyone who gets water in their house to sell it. And sadly, the state of Florida, it's only 75%. That's a problem. Other states give 100%, but our state keeps 25% of the CDBG money, disaster money. But one more solution I'm hoping for that area, and I talked to our folks about it a couple weeks ago, is I think I always say BMP 8, but I don't think that's right. And Jack, you're the real stormwater expert, so you might remember that I'm pretty sure Booker Creek comes in and then comes out. So, because when that water permit was given by Swift Mud, the wellheads were all dehydrated, and they actually asked the developer to bring water into that area and to rehydrate the wetlands. So we have water that goes over to Pinellas, over on the other side of Trinity, and comes back. And but sadly, I was with someone who owns Tarpon Woods Golf Course last night, and they're still flooding, so the chances of us being able to let them keep all their Brooker Creek water, I don't know. I don't know if Swiftmount would permit it, but we're still trying to find solutions for you guys.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Let me just touch on, and again, I think, we've invested a lot to fix the stormwater there. And I firmly, firmly believe that trench situation, that could be done, and I think inexpensively, we've just got to get them to allow us to permit it. So I'm going to encourage every one of you to keep working with us and let your federal officials know that you want to see that water flow to go through there. There's just no reason that Oak Ridge doesn't flood and you guys do. It's water transformation, it's water flow that's got to get fixed and corrected. If that gets corrected, I think your problems are going to be minuscule in the whole area. And I will say, as far as the Eldridge pumping, when I sat on Tampa Bay Water, I asked them to go pump more out of there just for now. But I will say this, no matter where we are, the water tables are high everywhere.
Yeah, and lastly, I know we got to move on. Those pumps, I'd asked staff about making them more attractive. We were checking to see, I think those are permanent temporary pumps. Is that right? So I don't think they're very attractive. They're out on the street like that, and I'd really like to see some kind of surrounding structure be put over them. And I think that's good for security as well, and just make it more attractive for the community.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
looking at these photos, I believe the most recent photos are from Hurricane Irma. Do the streets still flood the way they did since the Hurricane Irma photo, or has the flooding resolved a little bit?
I've driven through there this year. I really haven't seen, I saw a little bit on Wavy Edge, just starting to come up, and I have someone who sends me photos, but I didn't see any flooding like this year. Is this 17? Oh, 17, what bad year, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I've
yeah,
got a
all right,
motion-
thank
I've got a
you.
motion and a second for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passed 5-0. Move on
Thank
to
you.
P82, I believe?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I already said publication, but I'll say it again. Tampa Bay Times, August 25th, 2021.
Commissioners, this is agenda item PW 21-0092. It's the McDonald Lane PVAS project number 3447. There's one street, it's non-county maintained but paved. The estimated project cost is $59,085, and the maximum cost per ERU is $7,312.50. There's no discount on this project. In terms of the votes, there were 10 possible votes. We had 6 responses, 3 were in favor, 3 were against. The annual installation is over a 15-year period at 3.25% interest. And as per the ordinance, 50%, we need to bring it to the board for consideration. And I think I have a photograph. This is the location map and conditions of the road.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Ainsley?
Ooh.
Where are you going?
I'm here, I'm not leaving. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Why didn't this get a discount?
Because it's non-county maintained. There's no discount, as per the ordinance and the methodologies, there's no discount.
This is a private road
Right.
altogether?
And it's a longer repayment period, that's why it's
It's a
15
first.
years.
I've never seen this happen.
It's a non-county maintained.
I've never seen us do a
Non-county
PVAS
maintained.
on a non-county maintained road.
Yeah,
So if it's county maintained, there's a discount, a reduction.
yeah.
But because it's non-county maintained, there's no discount given. But there's a longer repayment period,
Public
Yeah.
road,
but non-county
I don't-
maintained.
not accepted for maintenance.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
I know we got a lot of So I don't, as Commissioner Starkey just mentioned, I don't remember the last time we had a non-county maintained PVAS.
Yes, we have.
I'm not saying when's the I don't remember the last time, though. It's been a
We-
while.
I don't.
It's been a while.
Yes,
Yeah,
we've
same.
had.
You don't see them very often.
Yeah.
They're not all, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
not
correct.
very often.
So let me ask
So,
you,
Well, how would they
this is
make-
public
make-
comment. Is anyone in the audience here to speak to this item?
Yeah. So the street sign is white, Ainsley?
Sorry?
Would the street sign be white on this road?
Sorry,
Is the street sign white or green?
I don't remember. But would have been the white background,
It would be the white one?
background.
Okay.
Okay, let's take public comment first.
Well,
Mr. Chair,
obviously they
there
need
is
their
no one
road paved.
signed up in
There's
person.
a person in the audience here
Okay.
that's coming forward.
And I just want to put on the record, there's no one on WebEx for this item.
Nobody in WebEx, okay.
My name is Carl Darnell. I've lived here in Pasco County for the last, moved here in 1978. Hi, Jack.
Need your address.
First of all, I want to thank y'all.
Need your address, though.
I really want to thank y'all because we're, every time people try to find faults with you, you're judged with one fault that you do wrong, one thing you do wrong, they don't consider how many things you do right, you know, so I appreciate it. My name is Carl Darnell, and I'm 81 years old, and I live on McDonald, and I've maintained the street all of these years, and I got cancer now, and it's kind of hard for me to get anything done. We have a hole in the street. This lady and I are the only two on the street that stay there for the year round. The rest of the street is good except these two potholes. And so then this guy, he comes along and he thinks it's supposed to be maintained by the county, but it's a private street. One time I got $100 from somebody for doing the street. So, I mean, but it's something to where that the holes will be fixed in the street, because I fix a lot of holes in the county streets, you know, coming into the house. I patch potholes, been patching potholes for years. But it just, we're the only two that live there all year round on the streets. There's only 6 lots on the streets.
All right, we still need your exact address.
The military messed up my hearing, it's hard.
Your exact address.
What?
Your address.
Oh, 14531 McDonald Lane. I'm all the way at the end of the street.
Mr. Chairman, is the gentleman for or against the PVAS?
Well, I'm not saying he's for the commission, but.
Well, no, but. But if there's only two that live there full time, that's what I was wondering.
Oh, I want to maintain my own street because.
Okay, so you're not in favor.
Because we do a better job. The only reason why this is this way, what you see on there now, is because that I've had the cancer and what have you, and because of the garbage truck. He wants to put his brakes on there. You can see to where that it's been patched with cement before. But this guy here, you can't blame him, because he just comes down, you know, he just winters here, and he thought that the county is supposed to take care of the street, you know.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So I guess that's all I got to say, but thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I started saying, are you going to speak? So, name and address for the clerk.
My name is Shirley Scholl, and I live at 14535 McDonald Lane. We don't desire to have the county fix this pothole. I've come together with 4 of our neighbors. We do have new neighbors on the corner that just recently moved in, and we haven't been able to get in touch with them because they went on a vacation as soon as they moved in. We are going to have the 18 by 30 area professionally fixed ourselves. And so we don't want our taxes to go up and it to become a public street. And that's all I have to say.
Wait, what does that mean, become a public street?
Well, I mean, if you are to fix our street, does that make it public?
Well,
Oh, Ainsley says yes.
Oh,
But it's already public.
it's already
Yeah.
public.
It's already public? When did it become public?
It is,
They built it. I guess.
what Ainsley said to the commission is, this is a type B road. It shouldn't be, we'd be having a whole different debate if this was a private street.
Oh.
Okay, it's,
We don't maintain it, that's what
it's non-county.
Ainsley, I'm sorry, the
Not-
mic.
Non-county, but if the PVAS.
I need
goes
Ainsley at the
through,
mic.
We'll do the maintenance.
Ainsley, you got to be at the mic. That mic.
Oh,
We
I'm
can't.
I'm sorry. So it's currently non-county maintained. If the PVAS goes through, is passed, and we fix the road, it becomes county maintained after the project is done.
So we are objecting to that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
and I know typically, I don't know, do you know much about this, Commissioner Mariano?
About the road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to, I'm just checking because there was 3-3 vote, but the only two people that are stating that they actually live full-time on the street voted no. So I'm trying to figure out who these other people are. That's what.
Snowbirds,
Okay.
Airbnb,
Oh, there's an Airbnb on
and
there?
then I believe 3 empty lots, which are for sale, so they won't be taking on the tax problem that we will.
No, yeah, they would. It goes with the lot.
Right, but the people that buy their lot will take that on. We are permanent residents, so.
Mr. Chairman, and ma'am, you live at the end of the road? You and the other
Yes.
gentleman live at the end?
Yes, right next door to each other.
So the people that are voting for it don't even access this part of the road?
The area they're showing is in front of a house that was just recently bought, and they were unaware of this, so Ainsley and Stephanie sent them out information. In the meantime, I learned from our neighbor who petitioned for this that they went on a 2-week vacation, so they've never received this paperwork on what's going on.
Who petitioned?
Our snowbird Fred Frank Weber.
So I'm typically, especially a 50-50, typically a yes on these. And I appreciate you coming here, and my fellow commissioners may feel differently. But I do have a concern. Is that your husband?
No.
Oh, the other gentleman? Oh, your neighbors?
No, that's
Okay.
my neighbor.
And he's the one fixing the potholes, your neighbor?
Well, he,
'Cause
in
I'm not
past history, he had done that, but it's been neglected. And Frank, the petitioner, was recently here on a visit, and we've spoke and we've talked amongst 4 neighbors at least that will have it professionally fixed ourselves.
I don't know how you can professionally fix that without, that's just, your whole street's falling apart.
An asphalt company, that might
Yeah, that's a
look-
pothole that was gonna pop out every time it rains. A big
Well,
one.
I do understand that, but the picture makes it a lot bigger than it is.
I was general contractor for over 30 years, so I can fix that.
So then you see the road has failed, and it's cracked all over, so it's not just a hole, it's gonna be the whole section of road. So
If
I
I
am
would've-
gonna be for the PVAS, I'll just say I
If
appreciate
you
that.
would have been
but-
there a couple of weeks ago and saw your city, your street that you maintain, it was worse than this, okay? And I can take you all over the county and show you places that's worse than our street.
They're in my.
But what I'm saying is
Start trying to get them fixed.
the reason that it's the way it is because I got the cancer, okay?
Oh.
And so I've been fighting that like crazy, but I'll make sure that the pothole is fixed myself. I've always maintained it, okay?
So for me, I'm sorry, but for me, that's bigger than a pothole. That's a failure of a whole section of street. It's not a pothole.
Just give me 30 days, it'll be done.
Mr. Chairman?
Or are you saying that it can't be repaired by a professional company if we were to hire one?
I think your 3 minutes are gone, and,
Oh,
Mr. Chairman?
sorry. We're at the board discussion now.
No, thank you. I'd like to continue this for 60 days.
We have to run through water to get there.
I'll second that.
oh,
Okay.
thank you, thank you.
So,
Thanks.
Thank you for your comments.
Can you explain that to the people?
Yes,
So-
sir, we're going to continue it 60 days, so we're going to see how you do in 30 days, and we'll take a look at it. All right?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Commissioner,
Science Center.
would you like it, in November, we only have one meeting, and I think that's in Dade City. and then
Continue it to the
December-
next Newport Richey meeting at 1:30 or soon thereafter, as
Yeah,
they
and the
may
date,
be.
the December meeting, I believe, is in Newport Richey. So I
Okay,
think
what
that's the
in-
target date,
Okay, so what December date is that?
7th,
So I'm going to continue to December 7th,
Newport Richey.
2021, Newport Richey,
Second on that.
at 1:30.
Motion and a second to continue this to December 7th. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. Okay. Now we'll move on to P83.
Item P83 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 25th, 2021.
Hi again. Liam Devine, Planning and Development, item P83. There has been ex parte communication on this. Staff has submitted to the clerk's office. PDD 21-7555. It is a zoning amendment in the name of DMMD I LLC and MI Homes Joy Drive. It is a zoning amendment from AC Agricultural District to R4 High Density Residential District. The subject site is currently located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Kristen Lane and Joy Drive. The subject site is currently undeveloped on approximately 20 acres. The applicant proposes to develop 54 single-family detached dwellings in conformance with the R4 high-density residential district standards. The future land use for the site is Res 3. The surrounding area is characterized by low-density residential, several platted subdivisions, including Oakstead, Wood Lake Preserve, and Bexley. And there's also public and semi-public uses and agricultural pursuits. Access to the property is from Joy Drive, a county-maintained local road. The surrounding zoning to the north and west is AC, to the east is AR, and to the south is the Oakstead MPUD. To the north, east, south, and west, future land use is all Res 3. And then access to the site, there's an aerial there. And this is coming with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and Planning Commission.
Mr. Hobby? Welcome.
Thank you. Clark Hobby, Hobby and Hobby, PA 109 North Brush Street, Tampa, Florida. I have been sworn. Commissioners, thank you for having me here today. The site that you're looking at is located on Joy Drive. Staff is pulling up a couple of exhibits that I've provided this morning. The site is located in the urban service area and the South Market area where the county is planning for and has provided the largest infrastructure to serve growth in the county. As staff noted, the site is located adjacent to several MPUDs, including Bexley North, Oakstead, Concord Station, Zone of Law, and the Law MPUD that was approved by the board last month. Most of those MPUDs, if not all of them, include lot sizes that are substantially smaller than what's being proposed today. The proposal today is a Euclidean zoning. It's only going to be for up to 54 lots in the R4 district. The R4 district lots can be no smaller than 60 feet wide. So the lots you're seeing here are essentially 50% larger than the majority of the lots that have been approved in this area over the last several years. As you also saw on the Elmo or the screen earlier, the site is immediately across the street from Oakstead Elementary, and there's another county facility that's also on Joy Drive. So there's a number of non-residential institutional uses in the area. I wanted to tell the board a little bit about the actual development that's being proposed by my client, MI Homes. The proposal would be the houses will range in size from 2,100 to 4,450 square feet, and 2/3 or more of these houses will be over 3,000 feet. So this is not an entry-level project. It will be a credit to the area, and I believe will raise values in the area. As I said, the site is very small. It's comparably a small project when looked at the compared to the other projects in the area. The other projects in the area will have a much larger effect in this area. At Planning Commission, there was, I think, 2 or maybe 3 folks spoke about concerns about pre-existing drainage in the area. And I've asked staff to put these exhibits up. The exhibit that you see there, if you look immediately north, and I'm not good at using this thing. Which button is this deal? Top button. Oops. Yeah, can you show this? Let's see. There's the site right there. If you see what I've got turned on that layer, the site is not located within a basin of special concern. And if we go to the, I think it was the previous graphic that had the blue on it. Maybe, there you go. You can see that the site is not located in an area of observed flooding. Our neighbors testified that there are flooding areas in the area, and they're worried about some stuff off of our site over at Oakstead MPUD. And so I wanted to say on the record, since this is a simple Euclidean zoning, a couple of things. Number one, I can tell Commissioner Starkey, we will have a tree in the front yards.
More than one on a lot that size, right?
You sure would hope so. It's a nice size product. And the second thing is, we tried to have our engineer meet with our neighbors after Planning Commission, and there was a scheduling snafu, but I'm here to tell the board and reassure our neighbors, we will meet with the neighbors and with county staff after the rezoning to look at the other drainage in the area and to make sure that the other drainage structures, even though they may be off of this site, if the county's maintaining them, are working for the purposes for which they were designed. And we will make sure that we are not exacerbating our neighbors' flooding. So with that, I'll wait for any other questions, and I'm happy to
Mr. Chairman, I
respond
just have a
to
question. if you
citizen
don't mind.
comments.
Mr. Chairman, just a question.
you got a
Can we turn these
question?
mics up again? I don't know why they're so low today. I have to like really put my mouth on it so people can hear me.
Okay.
Ballast Stone Drive, that neighborhood, what's, just out of curiosity, talk about compatibility, what size homes are those, Mr. Hobby?
I believe those are 40 and 50-foot lots.
So you're looking at 2,500?
We're talking directly south.
Yeah, so 2,500 or so square foot?
Smaller, considerably smaller.
Okay.
That's a rental project. It's a build for rent project.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay. So your homes, yeah, so you're building it, so it's definitely,
We're
the
gonna be
compatibility, you're going to be significantly
we are
bigger,
going to
larger
be
homes.
substantially-
Larger lots, larger homes.
So our lots will be approximately 30 to 50% larger than the last two MPUDs that were approved directly across Lake Patience.
And larger homes than obviously what you said goes to the south. Okay, thanks.
All right?
Well, I have a question, and something just caught my eye as I'm on Google Earth. Is that a nice bike trail coming south of that Oakdale Elementary? Are y'all gonna, it would be good if you can find a way to connect to that. But is Joy Drive, is that a county road?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And we'll be making substandard roadway improvements to that. Thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. We have anyone signed up to
Look at
speak to
this
this
trail.
item?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have 4 people in the audience who have signed up, and I have 1 person on WebEx.
Okay. Let's call the,
One's in person?
yep.
Okay. Since there's 4 of you, I'll call you up 2 at a time, and if you could just, if you're able to stand in line, that would be great. Mr. David, last name is hard to read, is it Crowd? And Jason Chrisman? Yes, sir. And when you come here, if you could state your name, address, and that you've been sworn.
My name is David Crouch. I live at 4115 Tristan Lane. I live adjacent. I have 23 acres right beside the property. And I have some pictures I'd like for you to show you.
You have to speak into the mic, sir, I'm
Get
sorry.
closer.
And if you could also tell us if you've been sworn for the record?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Thank you, sir. Oh, I'm sorry, missed it.
Do you want to
You want a motion?
I need a
accept pictures?
motion to receive.
Move to receive file?
So moved.
Okay.
You
Got
want
a
us to
motion
keep
and a
those?
second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
I'll explain the pictures a little bit in my thing here. The pictures are to show you where the water comes from and to show you where the water goes. Oakstead is a major player, swift mud and stormwater for Pasco County. Had no clue the damage they were causing us. There are 3 bubblers, major bubblers in Oakstead, and a bubbler is where it controls the water to flow. When Milo Thompson had it, there was ditches, like he said, flowed the water. My water would drop a foot in 7 days. Now it's 30 days, 2 or 3 inches. But anyway, this affects everybody on Mitchell Road, and it's 150 acres there. It's, let me finish. Water control coming in. The first one, when it comes in, it's 1.5 feet before it can go through. So we have to get to a flood state before the water will flow through the bubblers. When it flows through, now that one, you'll see the bubblers where it shows the water. It controls the water all through Oakstead, so it's a beautification, but it's a flooding for us, not for them, though. backing water on Lake Patient flooding houses around Mitchell Road is only a part of this flood problem. 2 miles away, as a crow flies, is Little Lake Thomas and Big Lake Thomas, which explain how, the moment I will explain how Netterfield's property also was causing a flood issue there, because Little Lake Thomas used to flood really bad, and then if the water flows through Little Lake Thomas to Big Lake Thomas, comes down, you'll see the pictures there, comes to Drexel. The water's coming there, it covers about 5 acres right now, before it flows across Drexel, goes through Kinsman's property, comes through Kinsman's property, comes over to Mr. Warren's property, comes down and comes through Mitchell Road, which you'll see Mitchell Road will flood completely even after you put the new road in. All that water comes there, it has to come into our flood area, which Mr. Dempsey's Grove is part of it. Let's see. The 3 acres on Mr. Dempsey's Grove, which they say is a 20-acre grove, is standing in 1.5 feet of water. So when they develop that, that's going back into us. Mr. Dempsey had 2 groves on that. First one that died, water problem. Second one, now when he died, it was only 12 acres usable land there. They're going to tell you that, oh, it's a good piece of land, there's no problem. It's going to affect us. Anything, Joy was the old Lake Patient Road. Is that me?
That's you. Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Board. I'm Jason Chrisman. I live at 4641 Mitchell Road, right around the corner from where this development is going on. I have been sworn in. I apologize, I don't have a set number of pictures or something I can share with you. I would love to do that at some point, but I just found about this particular issue from a neighbor yesterday, so I wanted to come and speak a little bit about it. There was 3 concerns I have with the development here, and I'm not opposed to development, but particularly this is an area which is going to cause some serious problems. One is the choke point on traffic between Joy Road heading over to 41. I live on Mitchell Road. That already is becoming a problem with additional pieces of traffic heading that way. The second is the flooding issue. Just in the last week of the rains we had, in my property immediately around not just my land, but I own 1.25 acres on Mitchell Road in that back area. But in my piece of land and the surrounding roadway, I had about 1,000 feet of standing water between 4 and 8 inches thick, deep, and it took 5 days for that to recede. So this is just going to exacerbate that flooding issue that gentleman was talking about that we have on Mitchell Road. And on top of that, the third concern here is the wildlife. So over the last year, I've only been in Pasco County in this address for 2 years. I moved out of Hillsborough County. I love this county, especially in comparison. But one of the things I'm concerned here, and the reason we moved to Pasco County, was for this idea of open spaces, open land. I could afford a little more privacy. My neighbors were a little farther away. We've had an overrun of wildlife that have actually had the rescue around this area and the surrounding area. Turtles. I have deer coming into my yard, even in the daylight, trying to get into my gardens and stuff like that, because they're being run out of these areas in these larger developments on the rest of Lake Patience Road. There's no place for them to go. So you can take away this big chunk of land that's in the back by that animal shelter, and we're going to get more of that into our neighborhood residents, and it's going to cause problems with them going through trashes and gardens and having no place to have their families and their dociles and stuff like that. So I'm not going to elaborate too much on this. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the ability to bring these concerns to you, but I would just ask that instead of just looking at this as another piece of revenue, recognize that these are, around me, there's a lot of families that have been here for decades. I've only been there for a few years, and this directly impacts our land and the capacity of this neighborhood to just have the vibrancy to travel in and out and maintain its wildlife. So thank you.
Thank you.
The next 2 signed up are Mitzi, is it Scotch? Say it again. Shock. Okay, thank you. And Brooks Giglio? Okay, you may.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Mitzi Schock, I live at 4602 Mitchell Road. I've lived there for 35 years. And just
have you been
reiterating,
sworn?
I'm sorry?
Have you
I
been
have been
sworn?
sworn in,
Thank
yes.
you. Go ahead.
Reiterating what the gentleman before me spoke about. First of all, Lake Patience Road cannot handle any more traffic. It's ridiculous. You wait forever to try and get out onto Highway 41 in the mornings for work traffic. There's no light there, which I realize someday there probably will be, but at this point, the traffic backs up so far, it's ridiculous. The flooding, when we first went out there, I mean, the water would recede pretty much immediately. Now it floods the whole road on Mitchell Road, and I and my neighbors, the water stands for days, if not weeks, before it is receded all the way. And still to this day, from last week when we had big heavy rains, I still have water out by the road, in front of the fence. There's just water everywhere. Third, I wanted to reiterate about the animals as well. When I first moved out there, you occasionally saw deer. I mean, there's a lot of wildlife out there. But at this point, I have the deer literally in the yard every day, all day long. They've had babies in my yard. They don't have anywhere to go. We're just taking up all the space that these poor animals used to live in. So my main concern were those three things: the flooding, the road traffic, and the animals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. My name is Brooks Giglio. I appreciate your opportunity to speak. I've been a resident of Land
Giglio,
O'Lakes.
could you say if you've been sworn?
I have been.
Thank you.
Yes. I've been a resident of Land O'Lakes for 33 years. I know our way of life, and I know what it stands for. I noticed the logo on all of your signs says this open space is vibrant places. Problem is, we don't have open spaces anymore. It's been going on for years. We have slowly had encroachment of development after development go in, most of them without the knowledge of the residents. When I walked around yesterday, people on Mitchell Road didn't know that one was going in. They're furious. The Grove and Joy Drive, as people have said, it's filled with wildlife, and the development of this or any other acreage nearby will absolutely destroy the animals. I know you've been made aware of flooding issues. The current flooding situation is bad ever since Oakstead was built at too high a density. It never should have been done. And now we have the demonstration of the fact of what we have done with that property. It's made it ever more important that Joy Drive stays wild. If any of you came and walked, you would see it's Joy Drive it's a dirt road. It's a tiny road. It doesn't even have an outlet. It has been made the main drag right there because Lake Patience Road was completely diverted for Oakstead. Yesterday, when I made my way down Mitchell Road, 1 mile to the east, where that brand new development's going in, home after home showed the muddy scarring evidence of very deep flooding. Mud this thick, I saw tracks going through. As you've been made aware of also, there's 85 acres of Class 1 fragile wetlands contiguous with this Joy Drive Grove, back to back. Joy Drive is the only 20 acres around that the animals have left to live on, and they need dry land as well as the wetlands. If we fill in the grove, if it's built upon, it will exacerbate all of our flooding issues that are currently going on, which you yourself said it's a major issue, that you've fallen into a pothole. It happens again and again. It's going to keep happening. We ask that you use the Pasco County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. It was meant as a guide to help you make wise decisions in leaving land in its natural state in order to support the plethora of wildlife that reside upon it. Conservation must be an important consideration before any more developments are even considered for this area. As the man from Trinity Oaks stated, the roads in the area are failing, they are flooded, they are nearly impassable. In addition, they're inadequate to handle the current traffic situations. And I am speaking of standstill traffic jams twice daily. All the homeowners I spoke with yesterday mentioned traffic jams interfere with their day. Even if a light was put up, there's too many people in the area.
Ma'am, your time's up.
All right. God bless you and your hearts to make a decision for us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Chair, we have one person on WebEx.
Okay. Is anyone else in the room wish to speak that has not signed up? Come forward if you have not signed up and want to speak.
Oh, she dropped off?
Hmm?
Okay. The person on WebEx dropped off. That's what I said, I can't make them, so I'll say that for the record.
Okay. State your name and address for the clerk and.
My name is
and
Becky
if you've been
Smith.
sworn in.
I didn't swear in.
All right.
Do I
We
tell
can
you
take care
that?
of that.
I want to go do it right.
Wait.
My name is Becky.
She'll swear you in
Yeah.
right now.
Right here. All right. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Your name and address for the record, please.
Becky Smith, 4749 Mitchell Road, Land O'Lakes.
Thank you.
I hope you realize that there are more homeowners sitting in the audience, and this is a huge problem. I've been in that area since the early 80s, living on Mitchell Road, and to tell you that the changes over the last couple of years have been drastic. And they're right. The wildlife is in the backyard. Our groundwaters come up. There's not a house on our road that's not having their septic pumped every day, every week. It's gotten to a point that the area can't handle anymore. The traffic, the wildlife, and the homeowners, our septics, everything. So how you can do this to us is unthinkable, to add more insult to the injury we've already received. I hope you do consider this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay to walk up?
Yes.
I'm Debbie Moore, and I was sworn in. I'm a resident of Kristen Lane for 42 years now.
Address?
4116 Kristen Lane. It's adjacent to the Grove. We live on 6¼ acres, and David is our neighbor. David is directly to the north of the Grove. We are like catty-cornered to the Grove. Kristen Lane runs right beside the Grove. It's all wetlands to the east of the Grove, to the west, to the east of Kristen Lane, and it's all wetlands to the south of Joy Road and to the north. David has an 85-acre swamp north that goes all the way up. I thought he said 18 acres the other day, 85 acres, and if you'll look on the county map even, it's like the water comes right to us. I've been there 42 years, and I can tell you I'm the water meter, and it has gone up many feet in the pond behind us. I do believe it's a closed basin because it doesn't leave. And we went through this in 2006 when Devco came in, and we were saying the density is too much for this area. My husband's Edward Moore, and he did so much for this county, and I have a briefcase of stuff that it was denied by your commission planners because it was too dense for the area. And then it's like the builders and developers, they make their money and they leave, forever causing us destroy our preferred way of life. We have to pay increased taxes to repair the roads. Utilities must be further studied to accommodate this. The road just cannot handle it. The road goes through the swamp, through the wetlands, through that grove. Overcrowded schools cannot handle it. There's Oakstead there. The Oakstead school went in, and my daughter was in there at 3rd grade. Next year, there are 17 portables out there. They're still out there. The school could have some natural kind of little areas to go hang in this grove. We should protect it. We should buy it. I've called land acquisitions. I've called natural resources. I've called commissioners, and everybody just thinks it's a piece of like a green stamp on a postage paper. It's not. This is a neighborhood, and we've been here forever, and we have a right to protect our way of life, too. I pray that God guides you into your wisdom, and you'll make the right decision, but could you please look at the pictures? Thank you. We are Shrek. We're defending the grove. My husband was in front of trees when they were trying to mow them down on Lake Patience Road. This is Sean, my son.
No, they can get the pictures up.
Oh, this is very important. I'll get the ones in the back.
Hello, my name's Sean Moore. We're, was currently immigrated to handle.
I've got some in here, I can just show you, this is David's backyard. This is David's backyard, I can just turn around and show you guys.
Map. You know the houses out?
This is Joy Drive, because it's animal control, this is Oakstead Elementary. There you go. This is
The
our
photos.
backyard. This is our backyard.
Yeah, our backyard.
Picture's coming up now.
Hmm.
There they are. The pictures are up.
They're up on this.
Okay, he's got them.
Hold on, they're up. Well,
Okay, they're there, Brooks, we're good.
we got it on the screen now.
They've got them on our screen. Okay.
We all have a thing in front of us, just so you know to look at, so. Whose house was that? That was big.
Backyard, the swamp. Goes 85 miles to the north.
That is a swamp.
That's his yard, they straight
That
up.
is a cypress swamp. It is.
You have to,
go to the
ma'am, you have
microphone,
to
ma'am.
come to the microphone.
Okay, that's David's backyard that you're looking at.
Can you pause the photo while they're going through it, or does it on? Oh,
My friend wanted us to put a whole map up too of that area, because when you just scan north, the swamps, that 85 miles, you'll see that wet, and you'll see these big lakes that are just coming right down. That's the grove right there. That's the grove.
Okay.
That's our backyard. That's our yard.
Backyard.
And this isn't a NIMBY thing. This is a Save the Wetlands, the Wildlife, and Our Way of Life thing.
And that's all of your time.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, please look at the area and make a wise decision. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
help.
Ma'am, you can't speak from the audience.
She doesn't know how to submit them to you. How can she get them to you? Is there an email she can send them to?
Well, we're about to vote, so thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know, well, I don't know if there's anybody else left to speak,
Well, I've
so.
got Apton come back.
Yeah, I was gonna ask a question to staff, so.
she wanted to speak.
Someone on WebEx?
There's a couple more people want to speak.
There's nobody on WebEx. Is there someone else wish to speak that has not signed up? Come forward.
How about, Commissioner, or Chairman, have everybody lined up?
And line up right behind her, because
Everybody wants to speak, line up.
everybody that wants to speak that has not spoken before. Please, your name and address for the clerk.
Yes,
plus that
I'm
you've been
Tina
sworn.
Chrisman, and I live at 4641 Mitchell Road. I have pictures,
You been sworn?
unfortunately. I'm sorry?
Have you been sworn in?
I have not.
Okay, please raise
What
your.
about the lady behind? Have you been sworn in? Can you raise your hand at the same time?
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. You may proceed.
I have pictures, but I did not find out about this meeting until yesterday at the last minute. Thankfully, someone came to my home to let me know what was happening. We've only been here, like my husband said, for 2 years. I couldn't get the photo up, but this is my front yard that's completely submerged underwater without any additional building even happening. This happens all summer. You know, maybe if we
What's your
had
address?
known.
What was your address again?
4641 Mitchell Road. So as you can see, this is the side of my house, and I'm sorry, guys, I wish I could get these up. My front yard is completely submerged. My daughter can go out, she's 9, and walk, and it'll come up to her waist. This happens when we get several days of rain in a row. It's happened in the last 2 weeks. I took the last week to get the water out of my yard. We've tried to grade it up as much as we can, but unfortunately, when we built the home, they graded it as much as they would allow before we would have to invest additional funds. When we were in the middle of building our house, they came and told us that we needed to build it up higher. So we had already paid $15,000 out of pocket to do that. So this is very alarming for us. I mean, it's great. I want the animals. We moved here because we wanted the country setting to raise our girls in a rural area. The neighbors are great. We love where we live, but it has been building up so quickly. We already have a neighborhood building across the street that's going to be renting only, not even purchasing, which, you know, I work in the real estate business. I own my own real estate company. I understand how this works, but this is alarming for us. And finding out that I have so many neighbors that have been dealing with this for a year and they're, you know, very, very concerned. I'm thankful I was able to find out, but this is a problem. I'm wondering what's going to happen to my home if you guys allow this build to happen, what flooding's going to happen, you know? So that's all I wanted to say. I want to thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, can you walk around and just show, because it's one of, since you can't, we don't.
Is there a,
This is for my patio.
In Pasco County came
What-
out and inspected and everything prior to your building?
And they actually, yeah, so they built our house on a 100-year floodplain. So I'm very lucky my house is built up a couple feet. I mean, I can't leave my property. Some days I need a boat just to get to my vehicle, and I have to park it in the back. And
Is
I'm
that a-
on the other side of it.
If she texts it, can I just email it?
Yeah, I'd be happy to text it or email it.
The water is not in the house. 727.
I don't know. I do have a question of,
Even filed in my phone. 727.
there's a plumbing company next door to her. Look at that.
I'm gonna need a motion to receive those pictures.
All right, I'm going to motion to receive those pictures that we viewed. Even though are you going to email them? Is she emailing them?
She's
Okay.
doing it now.
All right, motion to receive and file.
Second.
All right, you got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed 5-0.
And you said your address was?
4641.
It doesn't show up.
Okay.
6:30.
All right. Ma'am, you come forward, give us your name and address, and if you've been sworn.
My name is Lana Chisholm Keene. I happen to own the original.
Give me your address.
It's 4640 Mitchell Road.
And
And I
ma'am-
happen to own the original Mitchell house. We bought it from Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell in '67. I've been there quite a while.
Ma'am, you've got to say that you've been sworn on the record.
I've been sworn on the record.
Thank you.
I didn't expect to speak, but you need to sort of hear what I have to say. We've seen such a change in the last 7 years, 5 years maybe. It is partly the water. Lake Patience is trying to be a lake again over the road. There's what we call the swamp. That was my neighbor. I watch her children play in the mud out there. It's still trying to be a lake. I can handle that, but it has gotten much worse. We pumped out septic tanks recently that we never had to deal with. We now have a pedophile trailer park down on Lake Patience Road where we turn on to Mitchell Road. We deal with that. We are seeing so many people now using our road as an exercise baby carriage road that we can't even drive on our own road. That's a problem. We're so overpopulated now. We're getting a high-density rental place being built. Lake Patience is like 20 cars backed up from the school going through that road opening now to 41, all the way back to Oakstead Development. It's amazing the load of people. We are plastered with signs, and I want to bring that up to the county. We are looking like a trash dump. And I just paid somebody $200 because we had friends coming out for dinner, and I had to pay to have a king-size bed and springs, and a queen-size bed with it, and the box springs with a dog cage in our curve going out of Mitchell Road. It's a dump site now with signs plastered anywhere anybody can stick one.
Snipe signs,
No, business signs, tree cutting, lawn mowing, anything that people, Pasco County, you guys are letting us down. I don't know why money takes such a precedence in this country over people.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Voted yes. In response,
All
to
right,
the,
Mr. Hobby.
in response to the snipe signs, I'm just going to say it, they are illegal.
Yeah, so.
They are illegal.
Whose district is
So-
that?
Mine, but this is the first time they've heard about signs.
exhibit back up.
Yeah, it is
I
illegal.
I pulled two out, put them in my car.
We made that illegal.
My district, I don't, no, they can't stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask, this is Clark Hobby again for the record. I'm going to ask our engineers, our civil engineer and our transportation engineer to come up and answer questions. But if I can get back to that one exhibit again, maybe I can make this pointer work. Or maybe Dan can make his work or show me how to do it. So the subject site is right here, okay? Let me get closer to the mic. The subject site is right here. Many of the neighbors you heard discussing stuff, so this is Joy Drive. The neighbors were talking about Mitchell, which is over in this area. The closest as the crow flies that this site is to Mitchell is over 1/4 mile. It does not have access on Mitchell. None of the flooding issues you just heard about on Mitchell are germane to this site. This site has a jurisdictional approval of the wetlands from Swiftmud already. Only 2 of the acres, 20 acres, are in wetlands. There's testimony about a lot of sites that are not this site, but this site is not on Mitchell. It is not in an area of observed flooding. We've had these observed flooding maps for 25 or 30 years, and if it flooded, it would be on this map. It is not on the map. Furthermore, as to transportation, and I've got Steve to answer questions, Steve Henry, but our transportation study, the timing and phasing analysis, indicates that even with the project traffic, with the background traffic through the build-out year, the V over C on this segment of Lake Patience does not even get to 0.5. Not 1, where the failure would occur. It doesn't even get to 0.5. I submit to you, all you're hearing here is there are neighbors that have flooding problems, and we don't deny that. This site, there's no evidence that this site floods. We will have to follow the rules to make sure that we don't exacerbate any of the flooding off-site, and I told you that we would do that. And, you know, we look forward to working with the neighbors to determine if there are off-site issues with maintenance, for instance, in Oakstead, that are causing a problem. But this site has larger lots, very quality community that's going to do nothing but raise values. And one other thing just to point out for you, on Mitchell, there are 2 mobile home parks. There's one further up here, and the one down here is at 7 units per acre. 7 units per acre. The other one is about 4 or 5. So we're going to be raising the values here. We will ensure during the site planning process and the Swiftmud review process that we don't cause a problem with drainage for our neighbors, and there is no traffic problem on Lake Patience. And I'd like to submit the timing and phasing analysis to the clerk on the record. It's simply not enough for members of the public to say that there's a traffic problem when they don't have expertise.
You cannot do that from the.
Excuse me, Mr. Hobby. Quiet in the audience, please.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 I'm
Motion passed
happy to
5-0.
answer any other questions you might have, and we have the experts here to answer the questions.
Mr.
You have a
Chairman,
question?
yeah, I just did. It's either Clark or the county attorney's office. Tell me about the utility and zoning that we spoke of before. You mentioned there was utility and zoning on the site.
So what is being requested is a Euclidean zoning category. So it's not an MPUD, it's not a master plan unit development.
Right.
It is R4, which means that they can build whatever R4 allows.
The smallest lot of which is 60 foot wide. So that's frequently, Commissioner, the reason why you're seeing MPUDs is people in this area have generally wanted smaller lots, 40 and 50 foot lots, which we're not suggesting here.
Okay. Thank you.
Happy to answer any other questions you might have. Again, I am telling the board we will be out there with the neighbors
We just lost our screens.
and with county staff after the zoning hearing to make sure that we do the right thing on the flooding. But I can't do it during the zoning process. The site has to be engineered.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Mariano?
Yeah. Clark, looking at these observed flooding maps, it's not in it, but it's right next to it.
Right.
The busiest road going to 41, going to travel along. Some of the pictures we saw showed water on Lake Patience as well. I don't know what the condition of the structure or the strength of the road is at this point. We just did a paving assessment for Trinity Oaks that, with high water tables, has helped that road disintegrate between flooding, et cetera. But if I see flooding all the way down that road, I got to think this is not going to make it any better. And if the weirs from the, and I'm not sure where the pictures shown that you showed out there, or they were, that the first gentleman showed, of who's holding water back before it can go and get released. If everybody's holding water back and it's not going anywhere, not flowing out like they said it used to flow, now it's not flowing, how do we know this is not going to make it worse for those same folks?
Well, as you know, the county's rules and the Swift Mud rules say that we cannot exacerbate flooding. We cannot hold back water that's transmitting through the site in the pre-development condition that would make flooding for any of our neighbors upstream or downstream worse. So that's what we'll be looking at during the engineering process. There was some testimony in another rezoning on Lake Patience within the last couple of years that there may be a drainage structure that's under Lake Patience that might not have been maintained well, and that's part of what I want our engineer to look at with county staff. In the Planning Commission hearing, Will Poon spoke on behalf of the staff, and I believe Will and his team will be happy to come out and meet with us during that process to make sure that if there's an issue at Oakstead or at Oakstead Elementary or the drainage structures that are in Lake Patience, they're being properly maintained so that the water is being transmitted through the site. But we cannot make it worse. Swift Mud and the county staff will not let us do that.
Right. Reading through the traffic study, it talks about different intersections, but I don't think it actually references US 41. Was that in there and I just missed it, or?
Steve, I believe it does, doesn't it? Apparently, it does not have the intersection at 41.
All right, so, the most important intersection to the folks here, getting out to 41, that's their main access going north-south from there.
Right.
Why wouldn't that be part of the traffic study?
I'm going to ask Steve. He would know better than I.
So Steve Henry, Links and Associates, 5023 West Laurel, Tampa 33607. One of the reasons is because, and I have been sworn, yes. One of the reasons is the size of the project. So what we look at when we do these timing and phasing analysis is, and the kind of the threshold is 5% of the level of service capacity of the road. And once we go beyond that, then we start looking at adjacent intersections. In this case, we're less than 3% of the capacity of Lake Patience Road. And in fact, we're only adding a few cars to that road because of the size of the project. So from that standpoint, that kind of establishes the study area that we will look at. And so in this instance, we looked at the segments of Lake Patience Road, and then we also looked at Joy Drive and Lake Patience. And because of the capacity, which is less than 0.5 VC ratio, which again, your threshold is 1, that was kind of the reason why we didn't go out any further than looking at that.
Now that you've heard the people speak to say there's a big backup on that roadway trying to get out, does that make you think maybe we should take a look at it?
Well, one of the things that I guess we're saying is that there's the potential for the signalization at that intersection, which we can look at where that is in the CIP as far as the signalization. Right now, that's unsignalized, and that's part of the issue right now is that it's an unsignalized intersection. Once that's signalized, then the volume there would not have a problem in getting out. It's really just the signalization of that intersection.
Well, we don't know when that's coming either.
Yeah, but
we'd have to.
Well, people pay for the signal, developments pay for the signals, though. Mr. Chairman?
I'll have to look. I don't know where it is.
Can I just follow up on Commissioner Mariano, just real quick? Just, guys, we can't talk from the audience.
No.
No.
So the question was asked by Commissioner Mariano about the time this may or may not be signalized, and we don't have an answer now. At times, there's developments that get put in, and they actually pay for the cost of the signal to move the project forward. And guys, you He's going to have to take you out. I don't want that to happen to you. You can't talk from the audience, okay? That does happen from time to time. Is that something that's been considered?
Well, no,
If I might, just, in speaking with Dan, the site's only 20 acres, and it's like a half mile or a mile from 41. We do not require people generally.
It's a half mile?
It's quite a long ways from 41. This is not right adjacent to 41 and Lake Patience.
I didn't know it was that far, though. Okay.
and again, the volume of traffic, just to give you an example, in the PM peak hour, we got 21 cars coming in. In the afternoon, we got 13 going out. That volume does not warrant a signal or justify the cost of putting a signal in.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that kind of volume, and you are correct, when we have larger size projects that may warrant the signal, in this case, the volume is so low, it just does not warrant the ability to put one in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Commissioners,
Before we go
I think he was
forward,
still going. I just butted in on
Okay.
Commissioner Mariano.
you got a question, Ham?
No.
He was still going. I just kind of jumped on. So.
I'm sorry.
Well, I may have, I don't
No,
know.
no, Commissioner Mariano was still going.
I understand. But I have a person that called in on WebEx earlier. They called back. Is that person there now?
So can we check to see if it's Caitlin Fisk, please? Okay. The person that called in, can you please state your name?
Hi, this is Caitlin Fisk.
Okay, so it is the person who had signed up for WebEx, and she had a call in.
Okay.
If you could please state your name and address and whether or not you have been sworn.
My name is Caitlin Fisk. My address is 21114 2nd Street, Land O'Lakes, and I have not yet been sworn in.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and swear you in now. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you may proceed.
I also, along with many of my neighbors, just found out about this yesterday, so I haven't had much time to prepare anything. I also do not live immediately adjacent to Joy Drive. I live a little bit up the road of Lake Patience. 2nd Street is a little bit closer to 41. I've lived there for about 4 years. My daughter was raised there. And I also share the concerns with the congestion at 41. I've noticed in only a few years the increase in traffic trying to get onto 41. It's become really difficult, especially in the mornings. In addition, the traffic around Oakstead Elementary is increasing. Oakstead already houses many of its students in portables. The school itself was not built to handle the volume of residents that we currently have in this area. We just had a lot of, in addition to the rental communities being built directly across from Mitchell Road, there are some new apartment developments that were built. All of this is increasing the congestion in Oakstead Elementary. So my concern is that adding even more homes to this area, which those students would be zoned for Oakstead Elementary, we haven't really considered the impact on the elementary school in the area, and of course the high school as well. So I just would ask for the educational impact to also be considered in addition to the congestion of the general area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Mariano.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Fabian, come back forward, so.
So as far as back to the flooding again, I've got concerns about what the quality of the Lake Patience Road itself is as well. I mean, the water table's up high, probably going to stay high from what the folks are saying. I'm sure you haven't studied the road.
I do. Our engineer has looked at it some and is here and can maybe help provide some assistance on that.
So tell me about the quality of the road that you know.
Hi, my name is David Fuchsen with the engineering firm of Fuchsen Engineering, and I have been sworn. You asked about the condition of Mitchell Road?
Lake Patience.
Lake Patience Road it's in good shape. It's going to be reconstructed. There's permits with SwiftMud that the county's already obtained. I'm not sure about the timing of that, but the road will be resurfaced, at least to the railroad tracks. I'm not sure what goes beyond that. It has a reasonable level of service right now, but it definitely needs some improvements, which the county is pursuing.
Are they going to make intersection improvements at 41 as they do that?
I'm not aware of that. Perhaps the county staff could speak to that. If you like, I could find out for you.
Okay. From what you know about the observed flooding, do you handle the flooding as well? Stormwater?
The flooding along Mitchell Road, or?
When I look at Lake Patience Road, the map that he's got up right now, it shows flooding all along there's been observed.
I do not know those details, sir, but I would like to say something. The areas that the residents have been bringing up, which is basically north and east of us, that area drains around our project. There's a major culvert under Lake Patience, about 1,000 feet or so east of the intersection of Joy and Lake Patience. There's another outfall to the northwest, which goes westward into Oakstead. There's no outfall that goes through our property that serves the Mitchell Road and the Kristen Lane area. Our outfall, conversely, is going away from those areas. It's draining southwestwardly under Joy Drive. There's an existing culvert that then drains on the west side of the school property and under Lake Patience. Completely different outfall from the areas that the residents have raised today. But if you would, I can find out about those intersection improvements and get back with you.
Okay. Thank you.
We can find that out.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner, if I might quickly, I mean, I think that was the most telling testimony we've heard here. The flooding concerns, they don't even have the same outfall as the site. Doesn't go through the site. We don't outfall in their direction. Commissioner Fitzpatrick, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Looking at the property appraiser map website, how much of that is wetlands of the property in discussion, and how much is uplands?
About 2 acres of the 20 acres is wetland, according to the SwiftMud approved jurisdictional, the JD that was just done. So 18 of the 20 acres is upland.
And then for the current traffic study, what is the current traffic study of cars utilizing that road today? And then I know you mentioned 21 cars and 13 vehicles leaving, but you were looking to do 40 homes on the property?
54. Are you talking on Lake Patience?
You're talking about 54 homes and you're saying only 21 cars would leave?
What we're saying is in the PM peak hour, on the one segment of Lake Patience from Joy Drive to 41, we would have again, they're going east-west on Lake Patience, so we're looking at that segment from Joy Drive to 41. So 13 cars would be going out towards 41 in the PM peak hour, and then inbound would be 21. Now, obviously, there will be some coming from the west also, but that's the distribution of the traffic and the impact on that segment from Joy Drive to 41.
I know you also mentioned Joy Drive that runs north and south, but what would the most likely road be utilized to get to that development? Would they be coming from 54? Would they be coming from Land O'Lakes?
We estimate that about 60% would be coming from 54, coming from 41 on Lake Patience, and then about 40% from the west on Lake Patience. Obviously.
You might want to explain to her that Lake Patience runs to Sun Lake.
Yeah, what Mr. Hobby is saying is that Lake Patience currently runs to Sun Lake, so obviously you can get 254 and other roadways from there. So it runs basically from 41 to Sun Lake Boulevard. So we'd have, again, what we're estimating is about 40% to and from the west and about 60% to and from the east. And again, our impact on that segment is less than 3% of the capacity of the road. So the impact is very small on that segment of Lake Patience, which is currently operating at a VC ratio of less than 5.5.
And keeping with the consistency with the surrounding residents, the residents directly adjacent to this property, they're all zoned AC.
Staff can pull, I think, the zoning map up. There is AC in the area. I mean, the project directly north of us is AC, but there's also, again, there's smaller zoning immediately to the east. There's county commercial and institutional uses on Joy Drive past our site. There's animal shelter and other uses past us. So Joy Drive, as the testimony from the neighbors indicated, was originally the Lake Patience Road. This was the cut through. Originally, this was a larger functioning road, not just a local road.
Mike?
That's what the testimony was.
Wow.
No talking from the audience.
But again, Commissioner, it's in the urban service area. It's planned Res 3. That's what, I mean, if we follow the comp plan, this is what we're supposed to be doing in the urban service area. And we've now approved about 15 or 20,000 units in MPUDs in this immediate area. And we've got immediately across from the site is Oakstead Elementary, which probably has a much, much greater transportation impact and impact on the area than anything we'll do. And you've just approved 2 other MPUDs with a lot more units and a lot smaller lots directly across Lake Patience from all these people.
My biggest concern is the property adjacent directly to the north and to the east, because those are all zone agriculture. What kind of buffer are you gonna have between from your property to the adjacent property to the north? Because that's a 19 acres
right here.
of agricultural north of this property in question.
Again, Dave Fuchson. One thing that Clark did not talk about is the lot depth. We don't have a 100-foot lot depth. We have 120 plus. Some of the lots are as much as 150 foot deep. We can provide at least a 10-foot buffer along the east property line and along the north property line, both of which have wetlands on the adjacent property. So we will discuss that with staff during the construction plan review, but we have the opportunity to provide reasonably sized buffers along the east and north property lines.
Commissioner, are you done?
Do the citizens have a say during the plan review? Do you work together?
You mean when the comp plan and everything was?
I'm gonna have to leave before we vote.
Well, you just mentioned the plan review, so the site plan review.
We can agree to notice our neighbors, and we can make them part of that so that they can provide input to staff during the site plan review. We have no objection to that.
But taking their concerns into consideration due to the fact they have 19 acres directly north, and then even to the east, it's 1 acre, 2 acres, 1 acre, and 1 acre.
I mean, there's no question, a lot of the sites that you're looking at north of us have large wetland areas, and that's why I submit to you that they haven't been rezoned for smaller lots yet. That I think the neighbor immediately north of us testified that a lot of his property is wetland. I mean, it's a very significant portion. So maybe it's not developable, I'm not sure. But again, Commissioner, we have no objection. And I'll be happy with everybody who's spoken on the record today, and even all the folks that we noticed in the rezoning, to notice everybody with our submittals to the county during the site plan review process, and they can participate with staff in addition to the meeting that I said we would already do with the neighbors on the drainage issues.
Ms. Starkey?
Yeah, I also a longtime Pasco resident, and I've been looking at the Google Earth maps, and I see that a lot of those folks along Mitchell, there's a lot of wetlands up there, and if you built 30 years ago, you built when we were pumping a lot and your land was a lot drier. So, but I feel your pain that you have a lot of water in your yards, and my house in Aristida, the river comes up and goes in my backyard, but then it goes away. But it seems to me that we should spend some time with engineering looking at Lake Patience in that area and seeing if there are any improvements that we can do. But that is separate, I think, from this parcel approval. This is not up there on Mitchell where the flooding is. That blue line, you know, that's, I think that needs consideration, but not in effect to this parcel. I was sitting there asking Clark to put a trail to the school, and I realized it's right next to the school.
Right.
So, please, all you need to do is see if you can get a gated.
Walk across the street.
They just walk right there.
Commissioner, we're actually working with the school board
Yeah, that's great.
I
So,
appreciate what you're saying, but might I also, depending on where you go with this, I do want to reiterate that what I just said, if there is any motion, we will meet with the neighbors, we will notice the neighbors, because I want them to be part of this, Commissioner. I'm not trying to make anybody's drainage worse, and I
Right.
believe
Well,
we'll
you
do a
can't.
quality project. I believe
I
that.
believe the drainage is a separate issue.
Well,
by law,
With the agriculture.
Swift Mud, through Swift Mud rules, and then we added on even, we have another set of eyes over Swift Mud because of flooding issues in the past. A neighborhood cannot flood a neighborhood. As a matter of fact, what I've seen in my 9 years up here and many years in the community following development is that a lot of developments come in and they fix flooding problems for the areas around it. I can say that Longleaf fixed, helped Fairway Springs. I've just seen it multiple times. So I have all confidence that you will not cause worse flooding in your community. You're right next to the schools, so there won't be school traffic added onto the road. It's less density than other parcels all around it. It's not the problem or fault or responsibility of this landowner to fix the flooding issues over on Mitchell Road. That's a property rights violation right there. So I would be inclined to vote yes, but it's not my district, but I'll make the motion if we want to. I'll make the motion to approve this.
Having a motion?
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to
Wait.
approve?
With the
With the
discussion,
stipulations that I made.
with the stipulations, what he had stated, that he will work with them, and with an additional stipulation that our Public Works team will work on with Mitchell Road
what
to
they
get
normally
their
do.
drainage.
Thank you,
issues
Commissioner,
concerned.
I agree.
Yeah. And obviously, we need code enforcement to be spending some more time back in their place.
Code enforcement's already out right now.
Yeah, very good. Oh, good job.
I'll remind the board that this is a Euclidean zoning, so there are not conditions on the rezone, but
I will follow through with them. You have my word,
yeah.
Commissioner Fitzpatrick. I will ensure that happens.
I will follow up with you.
I have a motion and a
Please.
second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed, 5-0.
Thank you.
No, he's an aye.
Huh? Oh, you got one nay, excuse me. Passed 4-1. Okay?
The nay was Commissioner Mariano.
Yep. Let's go back to our
85?
business.
84?
Oh, sorry, you got P 84.
I think,
You got 84.
oh, we got 84 yet?
What's 85?
A petition to vacate.
Oh, yeah. Y'all handle
Where's
that.
that? Oh, I'm sorry.
P84.
All right, P84.
P84 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on July 11th, 2021, and, August 11th, 2021, and August 18th, 2021.
Good afternoon, Joanne Ravita, Real Property and Planning. The Real Property team has received a petition to vacate a portion of a platted right-of-way filed by Thomas Anderson. The petitioner has requested the vacation to correct an encroachment. There were no objections to this petition. The team recommends approval.
Okay. Is anyone here to speak to this item? Anybody sign up for this item?
No one signed up in person and no one on WebEx.
Okay. Is anyone in the audience wish to speak to this
Where
item?
is it? I'm just curious.
Marion's district.
Yeah, but where?
It's on the corner of Bel Air Terrace and Massachusetts.
Oh, that's that little red corner that was, yeah, really?
How big is this
Staff
again?
can't approve that?
It's literally 7 inches by 7 inches.
Oh, my gosh.
Come
Where's
We
your
had to do
board?
that for our house for 15 inches.
That's hilarious.
It
15
stopped-
inches,
it
we were in
stopped
our
the
neighbors'
sale of
encroachment. Okay,
even know
I
that?
moved to approve.
Oh, well.
Was that, okay.
I got a motion and a second.
Yeah,
All
who
those in
figured
favor
that
say
out?
aye.
I'm very curious. How did that?
Did you ask for
The
public
surveyor
I did.
figured it out when they
Yes.
surveyed it for sale.
That's a good survey.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Figure that out?
Let me say it again. We got a motion and a second. I didn't hear any ayes.
Aye.
Is he married to a land use attorney?
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion passed 5-0.
5 inches.
If they figured that out.
Okay, let's go back to business items. I think we're with you, Mr. Biles.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yes, sir. I just have a couple things. One, I think in front of each of you, you have a pack of the new kind of the marketing material behind the strategic
Yeah,
plan that
nice.
shows the pillars and the goals within them. You should have a stack of that in
Right.
your seat. So that's new, hot off the press. I think yesterday we got these. And we will be working on the action plans behind those to continue to build depth in the plan. The second thing I have is the small item sitting on Commissioner Oakley's, next to Commissioner Oakley. We won yet another Best Place to Work award, this from a local government organization, and they happened to send a trophy, not just a certificate.
Very nice.
Great, congratulations.
With that, and we actually are going to ICMA, so the International City and County Mayors Association meeting next week, and we will, actually, we are presenting to the group on our leadership journey, and the change in the culture here at Pasco County. So we will be telling our story and telling the story of Pasco County nationally next week.
Nice.
Okay. Mr. Steiner.
I don't have anything for the board.
Hey, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There was one other item I want to cover. We kind of finished my thing before we broke for the meeting. I was going to go, but it's 12:02.
Okay.
One of the people came up and was talking about panhandlers. And I'm going to tell you, you see them up and down, especially the 19 corridor. They're in the right-of-way. If the sheriff's office can't handle it, I don't know if we can look at it better, if there's another ordinance to go look at to do something more. But, I mean, it just is, it's not good for the image of the county. And when there's so many people out there, or so many companies out there looking to hire people, I mean, I just think we need to do something more.
Well, when I was down at FAC, one of the gentlemen, I think he's from Lake County, that I had dinner with, said that they passed, that their attorneys looked at the new Supreme Court laws, whatever, and they passed a panhandling ordinance that is a safety panhandling ordinance, and it's working well for them. So I'm thinking it's the vice chair of my federal committee, so I can look that up and see what county he's from, but they think they've got a winning ordinance, so maybe the attorney can talk to their
Be
ordinance.
happy to look at it.
Yeah.
The issue is that, based on that ruling, safety is probably the only way that you're going to be able to
Yeah, and that's what they
do
do.
something, and we already actually sort of have that in place. So I'll look and see what they did differently from what we've got.
And I did hear Fort Myers, I think it might have been, also passed one too, so we can compare what they did.
Sure.
That was recently, probably.
Fort Myers or Lee County, or Charlotte, which one is that?
Somewhere down south, it might have been, I thought it might have been
Lee
Fort
County.
Myers, but.
Okay.
Lee County, okay.
When I was also driving down 19, the panhandlers were in the middle of the road.
They're not allowed to.
And I understand that, but they're literally in the middle of the road.
You got to call the, when you see a panhandler in the road, you got to call the sheriff's office, not the emergency 911, but the other one, and they'll come out and get them out of there.
No, that's not happening.
Well, Alex, we shouldn't have to call, though. Y'all should see it, right? Maybe you can pass it on.
Well, let's, Alex, you want to come up for a minute? Sorry, I didn't know you were there still. I mean, if they're in the right-of-way and a deputy's driving by, are they looking at them? Are they talking to them? Because, I mean, I see them continually, Beacos Drive, US 19 and 52, further down the road at other intersections, they're continually out there.
So Alexander Alt, Intergovernmental Affairs Officer for the Pasco Sheriff's Office. So yeah, so if they are in the right-of-way, if they are not impeding the flow of traffic or causing a safety concern with traffic, then there isn't a trespassable issue there with them being in the right-of-way. Now, if they are crossing into the street, like Commissioner Starkey was saying, then yes, that would be a safety concern there. If they are impeding the flow of traffic and standing out in the road, yes. But not just the right-of-way on its own.
But they can't stand in the median.
So as long as they're not impeding the flow of traffic or causing a safety concern by standing there, then under this ruling, they are allowed to with it's a protected First Amendment right that under this ruling.
Is there any speed limit requirements of a median that's safe to stand in?
I'm not sure of that one. I can double check if there is, but I'm not sure if there is a speeding requirement there.
Especially with the width of the median, if the median's only
Right.
2 feet wide
I mean, that's a
compared to
safety
8
issue.
feet. And the gentleman that I saw, person that I saw in the middle of the road, they were literally in the middle of the road on the dotted lines.
Okay, so then if they're in the road, in that case, then yes, that could be something that, as the commissioner was saying, you can call and let us know that they're out there, and if we get out there and they're still there and they're causing a safety concern there, then we can address it. And to the Commissioner Mariano's point, they would go out there and try to talk to them first, offer them services to get them out of that location so they're not there anymore. And they'll go through that process of trying to help them so they're not going back out there on a daily basis.
But the issue is, if someone calls and you don't see them in the middle of the road,
And that's the thing with Florida statute, it requires that we witness it. So we have to go out and see it. So we get a report, we'll go investigate the report of a concern like this, and we have to get out there and see it happening.
and that comes back to deputizing some of our code enforcement officers, not only to maybe enforce this or enforce the illegal boating on lakes, or also to enforce the illegal handicap parking or parking on the handicap stripes.
So the question is, Commissioner, the question is really not if the code enforcement deputies do not have to be code enforcement officers, do not have to be deputized by the sheriff to enforce county ordinance. That's their job. So, and I don't think the sheriff is going to be deputizing code enforcement officers to enforce state statute, because that's their job. So
And what about the handicap parking? If someone's illegally parked in handicap parking, because I know I've had this conversation with staff.
So, Commissioner, for handicap parking, that's something else that if there's a report of it and we get a call about it, we would investigate and look into if we catch somebody parking illegally in handicap parking, then that would go through like the ticketing and for citation process.
And then the last one would be, for an example, on Moon Lake, when they have people that are breaking the law, going around the buoys and things like that. If we already have a code enforcement officer on scene daily, then why not deputize one of them so we don't have to just call law enforcement every time if they're already at the park?
So I haven't spoken with the sheriff on deputizing the code enforcement, so I can't speak to that, but if we're out there and we do see, or we get a report of people doing things like that, that is something we would investigate and look into. And if either, again, the first thing we would try to do is educate and let them know, make sure they're aware they're doing something incorrect or they're not supposed to be doing that. If it's a continual issue, then that would go forward with if a citation's required or something like that.
It's a continuing issue, especially when we have to keep replacing the buoys at county expense because people are out there illegally damaging county property. So, and again, that's why I'm mentioning it, because they're already at the location of the violations.
Gotcha. And I would be happy to share that with our marine unit, so they're aware at that location. You said that's Moon Lake?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Mr. Chairman? Okay, I'll just ask. So from what I'm hearing, from what our county attorney just said, our code enforcement can enforce this panhandling ordinance. So I would like to see our code enforcement team take it off the sheriff's burden, and every time we see one, if we want to call it in, that we have a code enforcement person go out and let them go enforce it.
yeah, I didn't say that the panhandling ordinance that you have that basically is in violation of the Supreme Court order, you can send code enforcement out to enforce. That's not what I said.
Well, okay, you didn't go that far, but you did say our code enforcement can enforce our ordinances.
Or our ordinances, yes.
All right, so-
But the reason the sheriff is not enforcing this is the one that you've got on the books was basically struck down and will be struck down if you try and enforce it.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you to go check
And-
those other ordinances.
and
Let's
that's-
bring another one back, that will work.
Yep.
Last, just two things. Commissioner Moore, thank you for bringing it up as far as the waiver of the fees for the CARES. It's a great event, October 16 and 17, the CARES Beach Charity Festival at Sunwest Park. It should be an awesome time. There's another one coming up, November 12, 13, and 14, Soraya Fest, and that should be another good one as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is that everything? Madam Clerk?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Okay. That's with me. I don't really have anything either. Except for one thing. I thank everybody for doing their job. I thank for all staff and all of our employees that do their job each and every day, because without y'all doing that, this county wouldn't become closer and closer to being a premier county. So I would like to announce that Chuck Carradine has been selected as the general manager for Tampa Bay Water, which is, he started out in Pasco County. His first 6 years of working was in Pasco County, and he's been with Tampa Bay Water ever since, and this past week just became the general manager for Tampa Bay Water. So it's a very good move, and we look forward to working with him. And he's been reaching out to us. He'll actually be coming out to speak to the board from time to time. So we appreciate that. With that, that's all I have. And
Chairman?
Nope.
I know I mentioned it, but I thought that Mr. Biles was going to go, so I didn't want to interrupt before.
Oh, but he's
I had a couple additional
okay.
if you can pull up the photos. I had a couple photos of the Care Fest, which this was the before photo, and then after was helping clean up the yards so that they can utilize the dogs can go outside with the handicap and disabled. There was a lady in a walker that wasn't able to tend to her yard, so it was nice to see the different organizations and churches go out and help clean up the yards for these people. And then the next photos were from Palm Beach and just some of the roadways, and that was the median in the middle of the road where you can't even see the other side. And then, of course, the roadways on the side of the road. When you have the different developments, you still had the nice greenery and landscaping. I wanted to thank Mike Carbala's team and Donald Curry, because they had an Alico Pass project with the flood and mitigation, and it's moving forward to the next steps of design, permitting, and construction. So they are happy and excited about that. And I would like to know, I don't know if we have an update. I had rescinded the motion to remove the chip seal and to move forward with the full depth reclamation for Aristida, and I didn't know what where we were on that.
So we met briefly with the Aristida HOA a couple of weeks ago, I believe, and Public Works was going to meet on site with the HOA representatives to get some of the major drainage issues addressed, and looking at those first before we move forward with any sort of PVAS.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, I did, as running the numbers and looking through the budget, do you have the slide? Because it was looking we could save possibly 1.8. No, you don't have to show that. I wanted it on a PDF. Okay. So looking at the numbers for fire rescue, if we're paying 12 additional time and a half salaries a day, that consists of $1,096.80 per day for 12 firefighters to work time and a half, which is $13,000 roughly a day, multiplied by 365 days a year. That would mean we're paying overtime in $4.8 million. Now, if we were to take those 12 people, multiply it by the 7 days, and divide it by the 2.33, so you would, long story short, you would get 36 employees, full-time employees. Their loaded benefits would be $82,391, which would mean 36 employees multiplied for the loaded benefits would be $2.9 million. It would be a cost savings for our residents of $1.8 million, so $1,837,908. So I would like to look at the costs, and even if we reallocated the $1.115 million of the overtime costs for the firefighters for their overtime and hire the new employees, it would be moving the line items over, but we would be having the additional savings of up to $1.8 million. So I would like to take time to look at that or reconsider it next time at the board meeting to move forward.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you, just out of curiosity, is that's what, so we're all aware, where exactly did you get that information from and who did you get it from?
I was speaking with Chief Kaysen, and I was looking at, it was originally an average of 9 people, and it was an average of 9 overtime employees. If someone had called out, they would have to go and ask for volunteers. If there were not volunteers, they would have to do a mandate. Instead of having a 24-hour shift on and a 48-hour shift off, they were working additional days. So instead of them working a 24, they were working a 48-hour shift.
Okay.
And then we would end up having to pay them an additional $1,096 a day. And if we have an average of 12 people calling in and we're having to fill those in with other firefighters for overtime, we're paying $13,000 a day in overtime, which accumulates to $4.8 million a year. So instead of paying all of that overtime, if we were able to hire 36 employees at $82,000 in loaded benefits, it would be $2,966,076, which would be the total savings cost of $1,837,908.
So this is a request from Chief Casson to you to bring to the board?
No, this is me going in, asking questions, looking at numbers and how to save funds across the board, especially when we have
But the information
$1.8
came
million.
directly from Chief Casson.
And I called other people to.
Who else did you talk to, out of curiosity, that gave you those numbers?
I have an email from Chief Kaysen regarding, because I specifically asked, what is the loaded cost of an employee? And then I calculated the numbers on what is, because I was really curious about the break-even analysis and what would the break-even analysis be from us having to pay overtime to having additional employees. And really, if we were to hire the amount we paid in overtime, we would have probably 50 employees.
Okay. So I was just curious, I just wondered where, not that your numbers are wrong by any means, I just wondered where they came from, since they're not just
The
sitting out
average
there in the
numbers
public-
came from
in the
Chief
public
Casey.
realm, Chief Casson then?
Yes.
Okay.
And then it was originally around 78,000, but I did get confirmation that the loaded benefits was $82,391. And I even had it broken up for 12 people, average per day is $45.70 per hour, and I took that multiplied by 24-hour shifts that they have to work, which is $1,096.80. And then you have multiplied that by the 12 people, multiplied by the 365 days a year.
And HR confirmed those numbers?
I
Human
will
Resources?
confirm with HR. I will confirm with HR.
Okay, I'm just curious, that's the way we know. I mean,
I'm pretty
Mr. Biles
sure.
might be able to step in, but.
We looked at this as part of the budget process, and there is a variance of overtime that is going to exist regardless of how many firefighters we hire to do the 24-hour, 48 shift. And so the average is 9 call-outs a day, which is less than 5% of the workforce every day, which is well within the industry average variance for call-outs in a day. We worked through the numbers. The challenge is there are as many days where you're over that as you're under that, which means you will then be hiring people that you will have on shift, which aren't filling a role that day. Because the 9 is an average. Sometimes it can be higher, sometimes it could be 2. And so you still have people you've hired now that are on shift that aren't actually filling a role in a fire station. So we worked through these numbers between the fire rescue and the budget, and are comfortable with what we were recommending that you will see and hopefully vote on this afternoon at 5:15. We will continue to work on them every year like we do, starting in about January to continue to work on the budget and see what changes we need to make to see if there are other efficiencies. But in general, what we have is been vetted between fire rescue and budget to deliver the best product that we can for the resources given to them.
And do you have the number for the actual overtime expense that we paid out for last year? Because if we can hire additional firefighters and reduce the number of overtime, by finding that break-even analysis, we could save our citizens
Like I said,
a lot
fire
of money.
rescue and budget, worked through all that math and looked at it. There is a variance of overtime you are gonna have every day. If I hire 30 firefighters to cover the 9, and I have 0 call-outs, then what do I do with the 9 firefighters that are supposed to be on duty that day?
Well, there's an average of 3 firefighters per fire truck, and I believe per standard, it's actually supposed to be 4. So if we did have additional people, we could add them to an additional fire truck. Or as we grow, instead of hiring new firefighters at that time, we can put them into the new fire stations and already have them prepared, vetted, and knowing what's what at the different locations.
So you have our recommendation. We will look at this as part of the budget process again next year, and we will make adjustments as needed as we look at efficiencies in the process.
So my only concern is if we're paying out $4 million in overtime when we can hire the additional staff and save $2 million, then why would we not do that?
I don't think that's a real number, based on our analysis that we've done with fire rescue and budget.
I'll be more than happy to share the numbers with everyone.
All right, is that everything?
Thank you.
Okay.
Cool.
This meeting's adjourned. See you here. Don't go very far. 5:15. So, just a warning.